In the year 2478, humanity stood at the peak of its power. Earth had become a central figure in the galaxy, known for its skill in diplomacy and its ability to bring warring alien species together. For centuries, humans worked alongside beings from other planets, trading resources, sharing knowledge, and forming alliances that kept peace across the stars. But beneath the surface of cooperation, tensions simmered. Many on Earth felt they were giving more than they were receiving. Others believed that humanity's kindness was being taken advantage of by stronger, more advanced civilizations. The United Nations Galactic Assembly, located on Earth, was where representatives from countless worlds came together to discuss matters of importance. It was here, during one of their regular meetings, that everything changed. Eric Dawson, a senator from North America, stood up to address the room. His voice carried confidence, but there was also an edge of frustration in his tone. He spoke about how humanity had spent years helping others while getting little in return. "We are not just mediators or helpers," he declared. "We are equals, yet we are treated as if we owe something to everyone else." His words struck a chord with some, especially those who shared his belief that Earth should focus on itself, rather than constantly aiding others. Maria Lopez, a delegate from South America, immediately countered him. She argued that cutting ties would only lead to chaos. "If we isolate ourselves, what happens to the fragile balance we've built? Do you think the galaxy will simply move on without us?" she asked, her voice rising with emotion. Daniel Carter, another prominent figure in the assembly, tried to mediate. He reminded everyone of the countless lives saved through joint efforts between humans and aliens. "This isn't just about us," he said. "It's about every species out there relying on our unity." But Eric wasn't swayed. He pointed to examples where alien factions had ignored Earth's needs or exploited its generosity. "Enough is enough," he concluded. "It's time we put ourselves first." For weeks, the debate raged on. Some supported Eric's proposal, seeing it as a bold step toward independence. Others feared the consequences of such a drastic decision. The final vote came down to a narrow margin. When the results were announced, shock rippled through the chamber. Humanity had voted to cut off all diplomatic relations with extraterrestrial civilizations. News of the decision spread quickly. Across the galaxy, reactions varied. On Xylos 4, home to a coalition of insectoid races, leaders gathered in emergency sessions. They worried that Earth's withdrawal meant war might be imminent. On Viridia, a lush planet known for its peaceful inhabitants, Ambassador Ava Mitchell struggled to maintain calm. Without Earth's presence, old rivalries began resurfacing, threatening the stability of entire systems. Back on Earth, people were divided. In cities like Tokyo and London, protests erupted. Some cheered the decision, believing it marked the beginning of a new era for humanity. Others feared isolation would leave them vulnerable. Journalist Kevin Hayes wrote article after article criticizing the move. "We've turned our backs on the very alliances that kept us safe," he warned. Meanwhile, military bases buzzed with activity as Earth prepared for potential retaliation. As communication channels with other worlds went silent, a heavy silence settled over the galaxy. Humanity had made its choice, but no one could predict what would come next. The decision by Earth to cut off all diplomatic ties sent shockwaves across the galaxy. For centuries, humanity had been a key player in maintaining peace and order among alien civilizations. Now, their sudden withdrawal left a gaping hole that no one knew how to fill. The ripple effects began almost immediately, spreading fear and uncertainty far beyond Earth's borders. On Xylos 4, a planet inhabited by insectoid species known for their hive-like societies, leaders scrambled to prepare for the worst. Without Earth's influence, old rivalries between different factions started bubbling to the surface. General Vorak of the Krillins, a reptilian race, infamous for their aggressive expansion, saw an opportunity. Earth has abandoned its role he declared during a council meeting. This is our chance to claim what is rightfully ours. His words ignited panic among smaller, less powerful species who relied on Earth's protection. Meanwhile, on Viridia, a lush green world celebrated. For its neutrality, Ambassador Ava Mitchell worked tirelessly to keep the peace. Her office was flooded with messages from concerned leaders across the galaxy. Some begged her to step into the void left by Earth, while others accused her of being too soft. One afternoon, as she stared at the endless stream of requests on her desk, she sighed deeply. "How can I fix something this big alone?" she muttered to herself. But deep down, she knew she couldn't give up. If anyone could hold things together, it had to be her. Back on Earth, life continued, but unease lingered in the air. In New York City, journalist Kevin Hayes walked through crowded streets, listening to snippets of conversations. Some people praised the decision, calling it a bold move towards self-reliance. Others whispered about looming dangers, worried that cutting ties would leave them exposed. Kevin stopped at a cafe and pulled out his notebook. He scribbled furiously, capturing the mood of the city. Later that evening, he published another article, criticizing the government's actions. "We've burned bridges we may never rebuild," he wrote. "And now, the galaxy waits to see if we'll pay the price." As weeks turned into months, the absence of Earth's presence became undeniable. Trade routes once patrolled by human ships fell into disarray. Pirates, emboldened by the lack of oversight, attacked cargo vessels carrying vital supplies. On Zorath, a small moon orbiting a gas giant, farmer Laura Bennett watched helplessly as marauders destroyed her fields. She had spent years cultivating crops to sell to neighboring planets, but now everything lay in ruins. "Who will protect us now?" she asked her husband, tears streaming down her face. Rumors began circulating about secret deals between rogue nations and hostile alien groups. Some claimed that certain factions on Earth were exploiting the chaos for personal gain. President Rachel Monroe addressed these concerns in a televised speech, assuring citizens that Earth was strong enough to stand on its own. But not everyone believed her. Protesters gathered outside government buildings, holding signs that read, "Diplomacy keeps us safe," and "Reopen the channels." In space, the situation grew worse. Alien diplomats, who had once relied on Earth's guidance, found themselves struggling to maintain alliances. Old grudges resurfaced, and minor conflicts escalated into full-blown disputes. Even neutral parties like the Viridians felt the strain. Ava Mitchell received reports of skirmishes breaking out near trade hubs, each incident more violent than the last. She realized that without intervention, the galaxy was spiraling toward disaster. One night, as Ava sat alone in her office, staring at star maps spread across her desk, she whispered to herself, "What have we done?" The weight of the galaxy's future rested heavily on her shoulders. Humanity's decision had set events in motion that no one could control. And somewhere out there, amidst the chaos, someone or something was waiting to take advantage of the growing instability. As the galaxy struggled to adapt to Earth's withdrawal, life on the blue planet itself began to show cracks. The initial excitement over severing ties with alien civilizations quickly faded, replaced by a growing sense of unease. People realized that isolation came with consequences some expected, others unforeseen. In New York City, journalist Kevin Hayes continued to document the shifting mood. He attended protests, where crowds chanted slogans like, "No peace without unity," and "Bring back diplomacy." At one rally, he spoke with Jason Cole, a young activist leading the charge against Senator Eric Dawson's policies. "We're stronger when we work together," Jason told him, his voice filled with passion. "Cutting ourselves off makes us weaker, not stronger." Kevin nodded thoughtfully, jotting down notes for his next article. But not everyone shared Jason's view. In rural towns across America, many supported the decision, believing it was time for humanity to focus on its own needs. Farmers, factory Workers and small business owners argued that Earth had given too much to others while neglecting its own people. "Let them handle their own problems," said Robert Blake, a farmer from Nebraska. "We've got enough to worry about here." Despite these differing opinions, one thing united most citizens: fear. Rumors spread about secret negotiations between rogue nations and hostile alien groups. Some claimed that General Vorak of the Krillins had already begun amassing fleets near Earth's borders. Others whispered about mysterious signals intercepted by Earth's defense systems. No one knew what was true, but the uncertainty only added to the tension. Back in Washington, D.C., President Rachel Monroe faced mounting pressure. Military leaders urged her to fortify Earth's defenses, warning that an attack could come at any moment. Engineers worked around the clock to upgrade orbital stations and deploy new weapon systems. Meanwhile, diplomats who once negotiated peace treaties now found themselves out of a job. Many left the capital, disillusioned and bitter. Among them was Alex Rivera, a former Earth diplomat who had spent decades fostering alliances with alien species. Sitting in his quiet apartment, he stared at old photos of himself, shaking hands with ambassadors from distant worlds. "What have we lost?" he murmured, running a hand through his graying hair. Though retired, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he still had a role to play. He began reaching out to former colleagues, discussing ways to rebuild bridges even, if unofficially. On the streets, everyday life reflected the growing anxiety. Families stockpiled food and supplies, fearing shortages caused by disrupted trade routes. Schools held emergency drills in case of alien attacks, though no one knew what such an attack might look like. Even children felt the weight of the times. 10-year-old Mia Johnson asked her mother one evening, "Are the aliens really going to hurt us?" Her mother hugged her tightly, unsure how to answer. As communication channels with other worlds went dark, Earth drifted further into isolation. The silence from the stars was deafening. For centuries, humanity had grown accustomed to constant contact with alien civilizations. Now, the absence of those voices left a void that nothing seemed able to fill. One night, Kevin Hayes stood on the rooftop of his apartment building, gazing up at the sky. Stars twinkled above, indifferent to the turmoil below. He thought about all the articles he'd written, criticizing the government's decision. Had anyone listened? Would they ever? As he turned to go back inside, a faint streak of light caught his Aja shooting star, or perhaps something else. For a brief moment, hope flickered in his chest. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a way to fix what had been broken. But as dawn broke over the horizon, reality returned, reminding him of the challenges ahead. Months passed, and the galaxy began to feel the full weight of Earth's absence. Trade routes that had once thrived under human protection were now lawless and dangerous. Pirates, emboldened by the lack of oversight, roamed freely, attacking cargo ships and stealing valuable resources. The fragile web of commerce that connected countless worlds started to unravel. On Zoreth, a small moon orbiting a distant gas giant, Laura Bennett woke up to chaos. Her farm, which had supplied food to nearby planets, was under attack. A group of raiders descended on her fields, destroying crops and equipment. Laura watched in horror as months of hard work turned to ash. "Why are you doing this?" she shouted, tears streaming down her face. But the raiders didn't answer. They loaded what little remained onto their ship and disappeared into the stars, leaving her with nothing. Stories like Laura's spread quickly, fueling fear across the galaxy. Farmers, miners, and traders who relied on safe passage found themselves abandoned. Without Earth's patrols to maintain order, no one felt secure. Even powerful species hesitated to send ships through contested regions, knowing they could be targeted next. Back on Earth, whispers of betrayal added to the growing tension. Journalist Kevin Hayes uncovered troubling information about secret dealings between rogue nations and hostile alien factions. he discovered that certain governments were trading advanced technology for promises of protection. "We're selling our future for short-term safety," Kevin wrote in his latest article. His words sparked outrage, but also fear. If Earth's own leaders couldn't be trusted, who could? The situation worsened when reports surfaced of skirmishes breaking out near key resource hubs. On Xylos 4, home to the insectoid races, alliances crumbled as paranoia took hold. Smaller factions accused larger ones of hoarding supplies, while others prepared for war. General Vorak of the Krillins seized the moment, rallying his forces for expansion. "Earth has weakened itself," he declared. "Now is the time to strike." Meanwhile, on Viridia, Ambassador Ava Mitchell worked tirelessly to prevent further conflict. She reached out to neutral parties, urging them to mediate disputes before they escalated. But even her efforts had limits. One evening, after another failed negotiation, she sat alone in her office, staring at a map of the galaxy. Lines connecting trade routes had been crossed out or erased entirely. It was a stark reminder of how much had been lost. President Rachel Monroe faced mounting pressure. At home, military leaders warned of an impending invasion, though no one knew when nor where it might come. Earth's orbital defense stations buzzed with activity as engineers rushed to upgrade weapons systems. Civilians braced for the worst, stockpiling food and supplies. Schools held drills to prepare children for potential attacks, though no one could explain what such an attack might look like. Amid the turmoil, Alex Rivera, the retired diplomat, struggled to find purpose. He spent hours contacting old colleagues, trying to piece together a plan to restore communication with alien civilizations. "We can't fix everything," he admitted to himself, "but maybe we can start small." He drafted a proposal for unofficial talks, hoping to plant seeds of cooperation if it meant going against official policy. As weeks turned into months, the galaxy continued to spiral toward chaos. On Earth, people clung to whatever hope they could find. Some prayed for peace, while others prepared for war. In quiet moments, Kevin Hayes would look up at the stars, wondering if humanity had made a terrible mistake. The silence from the heavens was deafening, a constant reminder of what had been lost, and what might never be regained. On the desert planet of Cholera, far from Earth and its troubles, an old man named Samuel Drake spent his days studying ancient texts. Samuel was a mystic, respected by many for his deep knowledge of prophecies and legends. His small home was filled with scrolls, books, and star charts, each one holding clues to the mysteries of the universe. For years, he had searched for answers in these writings. But recently, something caught his attention, a prophecy that seemed eerily relevant to the current state of the galaxy. The text spoke of a time when the blue world turns inward, cutting itself off from the stars. According to the prophecy, this act would trigger chaos across the cosmos, leading to wars and suffering. But it also promised hope. A chosen emissary, someone from Earth, would rise to unite the fractured galaxy and restore balance. Samuel read the words over and over, his heart pounding. Could this be the moment the prophecy foretold? Determined to share his findings, Samuel called for his apprentice, Emily Wright. Emily was young and eager to learn, with a curious mind and a knack for understanding complex ideas. She had been helping Samuel decipher ancient languages for months, and now she stood ready to take on a greater role. "Emily," Samuel said, handing her a translated copy of the prophecy, "this is important. Someone must deliver this message to those who can act." Emily studied the text carefully, her brow furrowed in thought. "You think this is about Earth's decision?" she asked. Samuel nodded solemnly. "I do, and I believe the person mentioned in the prophecy is already out there, waiting for their moment." He instructed Emily to travel to Viridia, where Ambassador Ava Mitchell worked tirelessly to keep peace. "If anyone can help us make sense of this, it's her," Samuel said. The journey to Viridia was long and difficult, but Emily pressed on, driven by a sense of purpose. When she finally arrived at Ava's office, she found the ambassador overwhelmed with work. Papers were scattered across her desk, and her face showed signs of exhaustion. Despite this, Ava listened intently, as Emily explained the prophecy. At first, Ava was skeptical. Ancient texts, prophecies. This feels far-fetched, she admitted. But Emily persisted. I know it sounds unbelievable, but look at what's happening out there. The galaxy is falling apart, just like the prophecy says. Maybe this is more than coincidence. Ava sighed deeply, weighing the possibility. After a moment, she agreed to consider the message. If there's even a chance this could help, I need to explore it, she said, as Emily left Ava's office. She felt a spark of hope. Perhaps the prophecy wasn't just a story, it could be a guide. Back on Earth, people continued to argue about the consequences of isolation. Journalist Kevin Hayes wrote another article criticizing the government, while Alex Rivera, the retired diplomat, tried to rally support for unofficial talks. Meanwhile, General Vorak of the Krillins grew bolder. Preparing his forces for conquest, Samuel Drake watched the stars from his home on Cholera, wondering if the prophecy would come true. If it did, the galaxy's fate rested not only on the chosen emissary, but also on those brave enough to listen. For now, all anyone could do was wait and hope that unity would emerge from the chaos.